What's going on, guys? Welcome back to ETB Boxing. Today we have a couple of stories regarding boxing, and one of them is not such a good story. We had two tragic deaths overseas. We're going to get into that and talk about what could be the consequence of this tragic incident that occurred over last weekend. And we're going to talk about the undercard of Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. It seems like this whole experiment is not starting off so well. It's probably a little too soon to be making those assumptions, but there seems to be a lot of issues with this card, the undercard that is, and we're going to get into it. So first of all, let's start off with Shigetori Kutari and Hiromasa Urakawa die from injuries on the same card. I've been watching boxing all my life, guys. I've never seen that before, and it's really tragic. It's unfortunate, but it is boxing, and it's not playing boxing. And let's kind of read here what happened. The past weekend saw these two Japanese fighters, Shigetori Kutari and Hiroshima Ukawa, die from brain injuries sustained on the same August 2nd show in Tokyo. And Kutari fought OPBF super featherweight champion Yamato Hara to a draw, while Ukawa suffered a TKO loss to Yoji Saito. This comes in the wake of former minimum weight champion Hiniro Shigoka's, I don't even know if I'm saying that, brain surgery this past May following his second defeat to Pedro Taduran and the death of Kazui Naguchi last year. Much like how major sanctioning bodies abandoned 15-round title fights following the infamous death of Duko Kim, the Japanese Boxing Commission announced that future OPBF championship bouts will be 10 rounds instead of 12. The JBC will hold an emergency meeting tomorrow, August 12th, to further address the situation. Now, first of all, I just want to say sorry to all the families, anybody that knows these warriors. Our hearts go out to their families. And but this can be interesting because it could have had effects to the boxing world all over the world. Before they had the 12-round championship fights, they used to be 15 rounds. I don't know if y'all knew that. And fighters fought the day they weighed in. So you're talking about people who were very dehydrated, probably they didn't get to have a meal or maybe one meal max. And it was really hard on the body, so they changed it after some concerns from 15 to 12. Now they're thinking, at least over here, overseas, that they want to change it from 12 to 10. One of the things that I think about when I read this article and I heard about these fighters die, where was the ref? How many blows did these fighters receive? The TKO, what was going on? Sometimes a lot of people think that boxers, their life is on the line because of one hard punch. It's usually an accumulation of punches. So I'm wondering if anyone saw the fight or seen the highlights, give me a comment. Let me know, was this just a freak thing? Was this just a lot of endurance and too much, I don't know if y'all knew this, but the Japanese are very a warrior mentality, very much like the Mexican fighters, very warrior, fight to the death type of mentality. So I'm wondering if this is something where maybe the referee was allowing too much action to go on, wasn't observing the boxer, wasn't seeing their faces and paying attention. And that's why the referees, when they stop a fight, we have to respect that decision, allow them to stop it when they think so, because we don't want that to be happening to our boxers and our fighters. They already go in there and risk their lives. And so anyway, I want to share that with you. Hopefully, we can avoid this moving forward, and our hearts go out to the family. Anyway, next story is promoter Don King is looking to prevent Michael Hunter from fighting Gerald Baby Miller. The heavyweight clash was recently announced for September 11th as part of the unprecedented 3-day undercard for Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. That's another thing we're going to get into. Undisputed super middleweight showdown. However, King, who claims to have legally binding contract with Hunter, has issued a cease and desist letter to event organizers TKO Group Holdings and their financier Sella. King has a grievance with the fighter as he recently won the purse bids in May to stage Kubrat Pulev versus Hunter for the lesser WA regular heavyweight title. They continue to disobey the WEA and its clear directive on the Pulev-Hunter championship fight, said King in a press release distributed to various members of the media. Hunter is under contract to Don King Productions, and he'll be fighting for a championship, for a world championship. You know, the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because many of you, if you don't know, this is the first or one of the biggest events that TKO Promotions is kicking off, which has involvement with Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh, and they're trying to, you know, maybe create a new organization and a body for boxing. As you know, boxing has become or has been very, very difficult to do business, and it's kind of its own little Frankenstein thing. You got different promoters, different TV. It's not like the NFL, it's not like the NBA. And so this is an example where maybe, you know, I know a lot of people can't stand Oscar De La Hoya, but I think this is an example of where maybe he has a point. It seems like, how in the world could you miss this? Go not through Don King. Like, how is Michael Hunter even agreeing to some fights that he, you know, wasn't in contract with? So it's just really messy. It feels like there's a little bit of sliminess here, and I think it's just the way the TKO boxing of TKO is trying to change the sport, but this is definitely not the way to do it. Actually, Micah Hunter versus Baby Miller is a nice fight, but I mean, if you're not going to go through the right channels, I mean, what's TKA doing? Following that, like just adding to that craziness, we're going to have a 2 to 3 day undercard, says Turki Al-Sheikh. What does that even mean, man? You're going to have 2 to 3 day undercards, and I mean, normally undercards fight under the championship fight. You know, you got the main event, then you have 3 or 4 undercards, and you know, that's the way it is. But according to Turki Al-Sheikh, the owner of Ring Magazine, since Oscar De La Hoya sent it to him, he's announced that that the fight for September 13th super fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, the undercard will be protracted on several days. His reasoning? This is his reasoning. He wants new and fresh talent to emerge. Look, I think it's... man, this is where, again, the promoters of boxing, I think, have a point. I think this is a good idea, Turki Al-Sheikh. But nobody's going to watch this talent unless there's something that's going to draw them. I think this is where Turki Al-Sheikh, you know, his passion for the sport really comes out. But this is, I think, the ignorance of his perspective, that he's not really taking into account everyone else. I don't think this is a good idea. Having a 2 to 3 day undercards of nobodies, I mean, unless they're pretty decent names, we'll watch it. But if it's not, you know, a well-known brand name, I don't think anyone's going to watch. I mean, I will, because I'm a boxing fan, but I think this is another example of TKO, Turki Al-Sheikh, not really understanding the sport, not really involving the players to really organize this. Not really liking this. He says we'll have more than 20 fights to do in the undercard. 95% of this card is talent, and people around the world have a very big chance to be a star in the future. In the case of Alvarez, a fight with the ring number 3 fighter never crossed his mind. With them competing in vastly different weight classes over the years, a matchup seemed far-fetched. That is until Crawford began calling him out. After winning a belt in the sport division against Israeli Mazhranov, which wasn't that impressive on August the 3rd, Crawford flirted with unifying the division, but after that became arduous because of mundane contract talks. He turned his sights to Alvarez. Anyhow, Al-Sheikh wants to craft this spectacle. He believes stretching the undercard makes perfect sense. It must be something like this. You know, God bless Turki Al-Sheikh's heart and his intention. I think this is an actual disaster in the waiting. You know, Crawford and Canelo isn't a fight that real boxing fans wanted. Nobody wanted this fight, guys. It's not the fight that boxing fans wanted. Unfortunately, Crawford is not a superstar. I know you guys, I love Crawford. He's not a superstar. Canelo is. I think all of the fight everybody wanted to see was David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. That's the fight that everybody wanted to see. I have a feeling this is going to be a total disaster. 2 to 3 days of undercard fights. I have no idea what this is all about. It seems like they're making it up as they go. Let's hope that TKO and company and Dana White doesn't ruin boxing. I believe in competition. If they can create a better product than what we have, and that's something exciting and bring the fights that we want, then great. But this is going to be the first show around. I'm not sure it's turning out okay. Let's tune in. Let's see what this is going to be all about. Maybe that's the future. 2 to 3 days of fights of undercards. I'll leave with this. When you go to a fight, is the stadium packed before when the undercards are going? Maybe the one right before the main event, yes. But throughout the fight, it's empty. Nobody cares. Turki Al-Sheikh, I think you're making a big mistake. What's your opinion? Do you think, Turki Al-Sheikh is onto something in the 2-3 day fight undercards? Do you think it's a good idea or not? I think it's bad. I would like to hear your opinion. See what you think. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Click like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, ego isn't your amigo.